My name is Chuck Schneider. My team and I over here are the Learning Stone. What our company does, we provide online study collaboration tools for students and educators. So think Google Docs and iTunes for flashcards. So primarily in the beginning we will be a flashcard sharing application site. In addition to sharing flashcards, students will be able to study, use advanced study methodology, study algorithms, which will be proprietary to us, and based on peer-reviewed research. Our company will be on the forefront of study and learning methods. Okay, so what is the problem? Millions of students create hundreds of millions of flashcards, electronic flashcards each year. Yet no good flashcard website exists today. How do I know that, Denny asks? I know that because last year I worked at a company called the EG&G Astro. I'm sorry, that was an earlier company, CareStream Health. And I wrote radiology software. In order to serve my company better, I decided it was a good idea to take an anatomy course so I could speak to radiologists and technologists and know what they were talking about. I took the anatomy course, and during the course of that anatomy program, I created upwards of 3,000 electronic flashcards. And I looked at many, many sites. And the one site I did settle on was a site called StudyBlue. And the main way that most all these electronic flashcard websites work is they show you a flashcard and they either give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You either got the card right or you got the card wrong. And the way most students study physical flashcards is they don't think, I got it right or I got it wrong. They think, okay, this is a hard card, this is a medium card, this is an easy card. And they'll start sorting them into piles as they're studying. And the reason I thought this was, I'd get a card somewhat right, and I'd flip it over and I'd be like, well, I kind of got it right, but should I say I got it right or should I say I got it wrong? And I personally took a lot of self-discipline to say I got it wrong because I wanted to make sure that I studied it again. So at that time, I was pursuing my master's in human-computer interaction. And I'm looking for a thesis. And I thought this would be a great thesis. Do students want more control over the ability to assess their flashcards, whether they want them just right or wrong? So what I did is I created a competing site where they could sort their cards into piles. Red piles being very difficult, or I might not be able to recognize or recall this on an exam. Yellow piles meaning I might be able to recognize this card if it was a multiple choice card, and green meaning I know this card. As I was doing studying for my thesis on this, I learned about other techniques such as spaced repetition drilling mechanisms. And basically what spaced repetition drilling mechanisms are is as you're studying flashcards. I don't know if you have children and you've helped them study with flashcards before, but when I help my children, I'll show them a card, and if they are having problems with that card, I'll stick it in the pile so they'll see it again 2 or 3 cards later. And that's actually a spaced repetition drilling algorithm. So what I did is I developed a spaced repetition drilling algorithm, proprietary, based on my own studies. It was based on a method called variable performance interval queuing. I won't get into the specifics. And I ran my study comparing this interface to the standard StudyBlue interface of right and wrong, and also added the drilling study mechanisms in there. What you're about to see is some video from my research study. And I want to emphasize this is a pure research study for my thesis. It wasn't a marketing research, so I wasn't asking questions, oh, do you like StudyBlue versus this, or do you like Quizlet versus this? These were questions I gave after each session. I gave students questionnaires. So it'll sound like I'm leading them on the video, but what I'm doing is I'm just parroting back what they wrote on the questionnaires. So if a student said something on the questionnaire like, I found it easy, I would say, so you found it easy. Can you explain more about that? So here's some of the things that the students said. And hopefully the audio and everything you can hear.
There's a lot of online software, but they kind of just go to the cards and flip them.
But you thought this was more user-friendly than those ones? How so?
Yeah. I don't know, kind of toner.
Oh, it works, oh, it doesn't work. I don't like that. I want the other choice.
It the 3 buttons, you don't know the second options.
You usually use a online app called StudyBlue.
I thought this was more user-friendly than what you StudyBlue?
Yeah.
Much more. How so?
This was pretty intuitive.
If you had a choice between StudyBlue This 2-button approach and this 3-button approach, which one would you?
I think I'd go with the 3. This is really cool. Like I'd want to use something like that to like learn languages.
Okay, so it was comments like that that got me to think, hey, you know what, this could go past a research study. I actually might have a real product here. So then I started analyzing the data. And as part of my thesis, I found that 85% of the participants, there were 20 participants in the study, ranging in age from 18 to 28, all college students, and some of them likely flashcard users, some of them not. 85% of the students preferred this 3-button approach over the 2-button approach. And this was exceedingly surprising. 100% of the students liked the spaced repetition algorithm. I would have thought that at least a few of them would have thought it was a nuisance. You know, hey, don't show me cards over and over again. You know, but they liked seeing cards that were harder for them. They wanted them repeated more frequently. That said, they also wanted the control to turn that feature on and off, which is one thing that we would do in the final software. So I wanted to build a company, and the company that I wanted to build that around was I wanted to build it around a faster, easier, user-friendly way of creating and studying from electronic flashcards. And the reason why I emphasize easier and faster for creating is I created 3,000 flashcards. It was exceedingly painful and slow, so I wanted that to make it very easy for the students. I also want to offer those unique study drill mechanisms, which none of the other sites have. You're just going through the cards. I mean, they're not taking advantage of the electronic aspect of the system. You can just flip flashcards. I can do that with physical flashcards. I don't need to do that digitally. We're also going to disrupt the market, coming in at $4.99 a year and for our premium features, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Okay, so I needed to build a team to create this company. So the team is myself, Chuck Schneider. I'll be the president. I have 25 years of software design and development experience from companies such as EG&G Astrophysics, Kodak, and Carestream Health. I will also be an adjunct professor of human-computer interaction in the fall. We have Michael Venturino, PhD, cognitive psychologist. He has over 30 years of experience in aerospace and healthcare industries. Sitting over here, we have Carl Fuchs. He's our lead software architect. He has over 28 years of software engineering and quality engineering experience. Yuming Sung on the right here. He is our lead web developer. Samantha Oxley, who is our lead, is another web developer. We also have added Sarah Haley as a web designer as well. Okay, Board of Advisors, we have Michael Yaki. He is an associate dean here at Golisano College of Computing and Information Sciences. I always want to say GSIS, but people don't like that because it sounds too much like the other guy. He actually wrote the book on e-learning. So this guy is an expert on e-learning, and he brings a lot to the team. All right, our business model is going to be freemium. Our premium features will come in at $4.99 a year. We'll also offer professional decks. Other sites don't offer professional decks. And what do I mean by professional decks? These are decks that will come from textbook manufacturers. So these manufacturers will offer their textbooks or sell their textbooks to the students, but they will be able to have companion content of flashcards that go with their textbooks that they can sell online or offer for free online at our system. Also, we want to offer another channel for physical flashcard makers. If you go to Amazon.com and you look for flashcards, you'll see flashcards for kids, you'll see anatomy flashcards, you'll see flashcards for just about everything. These are physical flashcards. So these publishers could use a digital means of another channel to market their products. We'll also offer free printing for students. So that is educators, teachers will be able to create content for their students, share them with their students. So if I'm a teacher and I have 120 students a year, I can share that with the 120 students. They will get free printing of the cards, and we'll insert advertising into that printing. We will have very targeted advertising because we'll know the age of the student, where the market where it's going to, and what they're studying. We'll also have the on-screen advertising. Our customers, basically anybody studying anything, so that's students K through graduate school, educators through post-secondary, also professionals seeking certification. So you got doctors needing to recertify for certain things they may need to study. Actuaries, they take a lot of certification exams, things of that nature. Currently, according to the U.S. Department of Education, there are 77 million students in the United States. They estimate that about 50% of those students are highly engaged. So those are the highly engaged students we're going to be looking for. It's actually slightly higher than the, I know, you think that that's a lot.
No, what about the other 50%?
Right.
What do they do? Is that Xbox or?
No sleeping in class, right?
And obviously, in the Asian population, that percentage goes way up to about 70%. There are about 5.2 million educators in the United States, so they're also our users. Worldwide, 1.42 billion students with 69.2 million educators.
Can I, before you go past the product, I do have a quick question. How do you source the cards? Is it the users supply them and then share them? Or?
Yes. So there's two ways. Students can create cards for other students. So, for example, on Study Blue, I created those 3,000 flashcards.
Yeah.
Me personally, I am directly responsible for Study Blue having 45 new users onto their site because 45 students who are taking the same class that I took year over year are using my cards on Study Blue.
Which brings me to a suggestion. One thing that you might think about doing is putting in a consumer rating system on your cards so that you can get champions of particular topics. They become you already
Thinking ahead of me.
Okay.
You'll see that in the next slide, but thank you. Very good.
Well,
Good
happy to
sweet
be your
man.
foil.
All right, so once again, our emphasis on the human-computer interaction major. My emphasis is on ease of use, practicing the 5 E's, efficient, engaging, error tolerant. It's going to be a very Web 2.0 interface. You notice that there's files and folders. You can drag them around on the screen. Our competitor sites look very Web 1.0-ish. They're dark. They have links. They're very hard to navigate. So this is a picture of what our website looks like today. Just a very neat, clean website to use. Okay, our competition. Two biggest competitors are Study Blue and Quizlet. Study Blue was founded in 2009, Quizlet in 2005. Study Blue, both Study Blue and Quizlet estimate they have about 2.5 million users, with 1 million users after year 2 for Study Blue. Study Blue has a total of $115 million in venture capital. Quizlet, on the other hand, is completely self-funded, and they boast revenues of over $10 million per year, and they're ad and premium supported.
Sorry. Do we see the data, the revenue data for Study Blue, or is that, not sure? What is it, $15 million? Is that total raised, or?
That's total raised.
So
I don't have their revenue data. I don't know what it is. Wish I did. Would be nice to know. Okay, so how we're going to disrupt the market is we are going to deliver for free what our competitors charge for. So their premium features are going to be our free features, plus we are going to offer additional premium features well and above what they have today. So for example, everybody has sharing. That's kind of the given. That's table stakes to get into the market. They have their premium features are things like putting images on both sides of their cars. That's going to be free for us. Equation support costs extra for them. That's going to be free for us. So we're going to have all of these free features here, so that cost of switching from them to us is going to be zero. There's no reason why they couldn't switch to us. They're not going to lose any of their money. Students, that is. Also,
I'm sorry, but they are going to lose the content that they created.
They're going to lose the content that they're created. However, my research shows that students, once they use those cards in a class, they rarely look at them again. They're not going to go back to the class. So if they're switching mid-semester, that would be a problem. But switching at the end of the semester, it would probably not be a problem for them because they're not going to reuse those cards. So our premium features are going to be things like our SMS pop quiz study. That is, if you mark a card as very important. So for example, let's say Dr. DiMartino says, this is definitely going to be on the exam. You would star that card, and every once in a while I would schedule a pop quiz that would be sent to your phone that says, hey, you know, what's the answer to this question? We also have our proprietary study algorithms, which they're going to be many more than just the one spaced interval method. Okay, so our financial projections are, we're really looking for 250,000 users for the first year. That'll get us to 187K. This is just in revenue, not profits. 2 million year 2, and 4 million in year 3, with 3 million in revenue. And this is based on getting 15% premium users. Okay, so what is our path to get to that 250,000 users in the first year? If it comes up. Okay, so I'm estimating, even though I personally was responsible for 45 users at Study Blue, took that estimate way down and said that for every content creator, there will be about 10 new users. So if I create content, let's say I'm an A student and I create content, I'm going to attract about 10 other students in the class to use my cards. Who wouldn't want to study from the A students' cards, you know? And we're also going to incentivize content creators. So it's going to be free for teachers because they're going to be content creators. They're going to share them with their students. So teachers, high school teachers have about 120 students per year. Elementary school will have just about 30 students per year. It's going to be much more for college students. Individuals will also receive free premium accounts for every so many cards. That 50 cards there is TBD. I don't know how many that's going to be, but for every, we'll incentivize them for creating cards. And then here's the badges that you were talking about. So also they'll get badges or rankings on the system depending on how many cards they create and how much the students rate their cards. Okay, so our channels are going to be, we're going to prime the social pump. We're going to go directly to college and educational services, public school district, technology department, homeschool associations, the textbook publishers that we talked about earlier, we're going to go to them, and professional physical flashcard makers. Obviously, their ratio is going to be much higher than 1 to 10. Path forward is to continue development with a beta late August. Currently, right now, we are not fully social. You can create cards and study from them using our proprietary algorithms, but you can't really share them. The back-end infrastructure is there. The front-end infrastructure for sharing them amongst your peers is not there. Really need to hash out the business plan, in particular the financial section. We'd like to hire 2 additional co-ops, and that's part of the ask. So in our ask, what we're looking for are contacts in board of advisors with contacts with universities, colleges, high school, primary schools that can get us in there and pilot our system with them, as well as anybody with experience with social web applications and marketing them. Actually, it's a good note that in Wikipedia, 2% of the active users in Wikipedia are responsible for 75% of the participation for Wikipedia. So really what we want are those content creators to generate those the money. We're asking for seed money of 150K. I must admit it was a lot lower before you were talking. before all the feedback that you guys gave everybody here, I was asking for 60K.
Good move.
I really admit that. So what does that get you? That's 2 co-op students, 2 development machines. We need to file a patent for our study algorithm. Also sales and marketing, which is obviously going to be the bulk of that. The co-op students will come in at roughly around $50,000. The deliverable will be the fully social web application after that. Personally, I've contributed roughly $3,000. The stipend that I was getting from Saunders, I gave to a co-op student. I am all in on this. This is my full-time job, much to my wife's chagrin. I'm not taking money. I have a wife, 2 kids, and a mortgage. So this is what I'm committed to doing, and I'm very involved in this. Okay, so any questions?
I like this one. Getting the comment about stacking the deck now. This one has a good, strong feeling of solidity to it. You obviously have a very mature team, flesh the concepts out. So I thought it was good. A couple of points. In the beginning, it was very key for you to bring out your research, but you kind of apologized for it or qualified it, if you will, in the beginning. Okay. One lesson I learned is never have anything in your presentation. You're not going to say this is important. You got to listen to it. It's credible.
What I apologize.
Well,
I'll listen to it later.
Well, no, what I was suggesting is, you said, this is research, don't, you know, it might seem like, it wasn't a marketing study, it might seem like I'm leading the witness. That was kind of backing off, and I mean, what I was wanting to hear out of the
Okay.
video was good customer testimony, or user testimony would be better.
Yeah, yeah, it was good customer,
Yeah.
I just wanted to stress the fact that.
Then just say that outright, this is,
Yeah, yeah,
this
I
is
guess,
great
I guess I
news.
misunderstood. I think the message I was really trying to convey was, they were saying these good things, and I wasn't really making it a marketing thing, it was a research thing. So that's, I think I said it wrong,
Oh, okay.
really. It
All
was
right.
more of an apology, but,
Oh.
you know, hey, they were saying these great things, but I wasn't making it an advert, it was a research
Yeah.
study. Okay, so I'll say it differently, thank you.
All right, on the freemium model, I see a lot of these. How about, convince us that 15% is a credible conversion rate? I think that's what you need a little bit more of. And by the way, this is an advanced comment, right? Because we never got to, so that, I know it's a tough one, but you're gonna need to find comparables, and there are comparables out there. I mean, there
Right.
are many, this has been, freemiums have been around for,
But the comparables are 5%.
yeah.
Yeah, I know,
That's the max.
yeah.
So,
So it's
yeah.
hard
You
to
guys are
believe.
good. I was waiting for somebody to catch that, but, but
Yeah.
thank you for catching
See-
that. I mean, I thought it was very.
Do you
very
generate any
generous.
revenue for the non-premium?
Yes, the non-premium, the revenue stream for them is the advertising, online advertising. The premium don't have advertising.
Did you talk about that? How much revenue you'll generate from the,
No, I kind of glossed over that.
Oh.
That's about,
You don't
click-through
have enough
rates. and-
users.
What's that?
You won't, 250,000 users.
Yeah, for the first year, that's what, I mean, that's.
You're not
I
gonna
mean,
get
you
any
have to wait,
advertising.
you have to wait to get to
So you at
scale,
least
really
have a
get to
million.
scale.
Right.
Yeah, before you have that. So the revenue for those was gonna be the free printing plus them buying, the premium decks. So buy premium flashcard makers such as like Grey's Anatomy or, there's a lot, maybe not Grey's Anatomy, but there's a lot of mom and pop flashcard makers out there that have no other revenue than Amazon.com to sell their physical product.
Right.
So
All
those
right.
would be the people I'd be going
Well,
after.
my last comment is my favorite one, is distribution always, and to get to distribution there. I think you did a pretty good job of stating, that plan for 250K.
Mhm.
In this particular case, because you're running on such a shoestring budget, and it's so important to get to, at least a level where you can sustain yourselves, I'd like to hear a little bit more about how you're going to get those 250. So I would anticipate some anecdotal story of, we're gonna send a number of people to contact all these specific set of professors. We're gonna get them to endorse it and use it in their classroom, or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And that'll get me this, and then
Okay.
that, I can leverage to do this, and I kind of build it up from the ground up.
Okay, thank you.
So that's probably the balance of my comments here.
Okay, thank you.
I think it was a very good presentation. Walking away from this, I mean, I don't understand if there's basically a dichotomy here, right?
Mhm.
You can end up being a lifestyle business, which is very nice, can
Mhm.
make a nice living out of it, or you can go big and try to make it really kind of dominate the market.
Right.
If you look at other e-learning systems, and in Rochester, we have actually LMK was a very big name that sold in it. At the end of the day, the driver of that is content. Whoever owns the content wins, right? And to some extent, that reflects on your pricing model. It would have been good to see what percentage of your revenue, I mean, here's another way of saying that. Do you really need the $4.99? A year of it? Does it really add a significant amount of cash flow? Or can you eliminate that in order to grow faster, generate more content and attract more users,
Yeah.
and kind of pump up the revenue?
My original plan was $1.99 per year, because I thought students were used to paying that on app stores. I got some sage advice that's saying that there might be cognitive dissonance between that, price and the features. Like, people might think, oh, $1.99, I'm not really getting anything. And then also for free, am I really getting the same quality I'm getting? So that's why we kind of bumped it up to $4.99.
So think about it, but.
Yeah, but thank you.
I can see both aspects of that. The other part, which I think to me is a make or break here, is that you mentioned you want money for patenting. You don't talk about what is really the IP here. I mean, an unfair
It's-
categorization will be, so you went from 2 buttons to 3 buttons, and you're going
Right.
into, so
Yeah,
think of.
that got a little heady, and I didn't want to get into it in the
Right.
discussion. That's the space repetition study algorithms, where you repeat cards that are heavy, so that's.
Here's a simple
yeah.
rule, there are no half pregnancies. You're either
Mhm.
pregnant or not. You either
Mhm.
believe that you have IP and you go full force on it and you mention it in your presentation, or
Mhm.
you don't have IP and you don't go there in the presentation.
Mhm.
Don't kind of dance around it, because
Mhm.
it sends the wrong message. I think you did a
Okay.
very good job
Thank you.
recovering on your team, because initially you kind of glossed over them, and I thought, that's it, and then you went back and really introduced that was very nicely done. Good job.
Thank you.
I thought it was a good job as well. I don't understand how you're paying your team. You've got quite a team here, and you don't have that listed, so.
They're not being, right now, everybody is, except for,
I
the
guess it will
co-ops
be
that
after
I'm
this
giving the
comment,
money
right?
to,
Yeah.
we're, basically all in, we're putting our, we're putting our, time where our mouth is,
So
to
it'd be
make the
good
money,
to,
yeah.
figure that business model out,
Mhm.
how much you guys have and,
Mhm.
and what you're looking for $150,000. What, is your investor getting? Is that a loan? Is it, shares? At least think about your model, what
Mhm.
you want there and what you'd
Okay.
be willing to give up for that money. And I think, respecting that this isn't something that they're doing as a favor to you, one night a month. This is a real, you're all in, you said you were all in, is your team all in?
Yeah, everybody's basically equity, stakeholders who are not.
Do they have
Well-
full-time jobs? Anyone on the team?
Carl does.
That's the question, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we wanted, but you gotta talk a little bit about how this is gonna get executed. When we put
Right.
money in, we wanna know that you're gonna hit your milestones. If he has to go to Japan for his company, and he can't work on it, we gotta understand that that's a risk. I mean, it isn't
Right.
that we wouldn't agree to it,
Yeah.
because maybe he's the key to the algorithm, I don't
Right.
know. But we have to understand.
Yeah,
a
so I'm
little
getting,
more about
I hear I'm getting like a lot of great advice on things I need to add in there. I was already at like 17, 18 minutes, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I add that? And what do you think that I should take out then?
Take out the video.
Take out the video, really, because I thought that
Give
would
it-
be like
from my
really
perspective,
strong.
give it to me in statistical summary. So we tested so many folks, this is the positive feedback, this is the negative feedback. And you wasted too much time on explaining what are you saying and then what we're saying, and end up saying 3 people saying that they liked it. Great. I don't know how many people didn't say, until you presented the 85% and the 100% statistics. I didn't know how many of them were you kind of ruling out of
Okay.
the video, right?
I'm gonna actually say something that might be a little bit controversial, that oftentimes the speakers or presenters will wanna talk about the product a lot,
Mhm.
and then a little bit on the distribution and how we can make money in the financial. And normally, and this is maybe it's the opposite, the funders will stipulate almost, and this is the controversial part, but will stipulate you've got the product, because they can get that in due diligence. It'll
Right,
work or
right.
not work. If it doesn't work, well, then we're done anyway. So let's just stipulate you got the product. How are you gonna sell it? Because they have heard great ideas out the yin yang, and probably some of them great, truly great ideas, but where they fall down is actually selling them and getting them out there and earning money on them and bringing the business model to fruition.
As a follow-up to that, I thought it was a great, it's all about content, as you, I don't know who said that, is that you? But you had an idea that you would reward the teachers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're the ones that are giving the tests, so what a perfect resource to have the highest quality flashcards possible. So I think, and I think the instructors would be willing potentially to do that because they see the benefit to their students as well as enjoying a little reward.
Right, okay.
Couple of observations, Chuck. We chatted before when you were at $1.99, and I think I
Yeah.
told you at that time, I thought that pricing was a little light.
Yeah,
I said to another team that when they present their financial data, that they do it in a more structured way. I didn't derive from what I saw, what would be your main sources of revenue? I understand the $4.99, but you've got all sorts of content. You may have to pay textbook providers, then you would be able to resell it. So you've got revenue line items that I don't think you touched on in detail. I think you need to take a hard look at that.
yeah, and that was actually intentional because those are like recent ideas and I haven't
Yeah,
vetted
okay,
them.
okay, but you did tell us about them, so we
Yep.
started to think about it.
Yeah,
Also, your choice of $4.99, you are taking the market down a lot.
yep. On
And
purpose.
you do that carefully. So I'm not saying that that's the wrong answer, but you want to talk about that a lot before you push your pricing button on the full pay model.
Okay. So you think it's too low?
Well, I mean, you're close to the business. My gut tells me it's still a little bit low. You're leaving money on the table if the next guy is at $15 a year.
I would kind of just add on that. The question I guess then is, what are you in business for? Are you in business of selling apps and making money on that side? Are you in business of selling, getting a bunch of users, selling their data and getting, that's kind of, I think, that's my challenge with listening to it. I don't, maybe it's too early to tell. You don't know what your identity is. And the simplest reflection is in the price point, right? Because if you're driving for growth and driving for number of users and monetize that, that's fine. Then go all in on that. If you want to make money on the app side, then why are you leaving 25? I mean, your pitch is, I'm better than others and I'm significantly cheaper. Why, right? When most things are better, they're actually more expensive. Right?
Actually, I have an answer for that, but you guys don't want an answer, so
No.
we'll skip over it.
Ironically, that's actually the way I was thinking about it. I'd say charge $24.99. If you could, because I heard your rationale before, it's $9.99 makes it too cheap. We call that, by the way, in my business, the beer cooler problem. Because if you go in and get, a good six-pack of beer for guests and whatnot, you're gonna, no matter what it is, if it costs, $4.99, you're gonna pass it up and buy the, the expensive stuff to impress the people, right? They do that in wine too. It's the same deal. And it is worth $24.99. If you can help me pass this course, I'll do it, right? So I don't know. I'd say if you make a statement, because I think if there's value there, $24.99 is certainly well within the price point.
To add to George's point, you've got so many line items that you're giving away. You have the opportunity to think about a multi-tiered pricing structure where the top level might be $24.99 and you've got slices below that.
I mean, people pay $5 a cup of coffee. No, seriously, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
$3 for a bottle of water.
Right.
Right.
But they did it because Starbucks says there's class here, there's panache. It was quality, right?
Right.
So that's what you have. I'd swagger out there and say, this is the way to pass courses. That's my marketing. Is, because students have anxiety, especially pre-meds and all that you're aiming for.
I know, and that's how I know that I was able to.
I'd mark it on the fact that we are going to help take the
The
anxiety
anatomy
out
course
of
that
your
I took
course.
was pre-med, and that's why I got 45 users for my cards, because
And they'll
they
pay
all
almost
knew that I
anything
had
if
a
you-
97 average on the exam. They're like, oh, let's use Chuck's cards.
Yeah.
But one thing I would caution you about, you say the other two companies claim to have 2.5 million users. If you were gonna try to make your money off of advertising, that's not enough users. You need 1 billion eyeballs, or you need closer to 10x that
Well,
2.5. So I just wanna make sure you're, understanding to their point about where you're gonna earn your money. If it kind of depends on the scale of your business, right?
I was actually trying to gloss over this a little bit, but if you look, they have 2 million users. They had 81 million visitors in 12 months. So that's their ratio. I couldn't go through.
So they're just aggregating all prior users.
They're probably counting users multiple times every time they log on.
Nice.
Each user will log on multiple times.
Multiple times to
right,
study, yeah.
multiple
So they'll get
impressions.
81 million.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but those aren't unique visitors.
No,
But there are impressions.
they are impressions, yeah.
Just two simple ones.
Okay.
When you started using Study Blue as a student, how did you learn about it?
I Googled it.
You Googled it.
And I looked at all the different, ones that were out there.
So when you looked at your channel stuff, are you ensuring that you're gonna be high on the Google search?
Well, that's search engine optimization,
That's
yeah.
what
That's
built it.
all.
So that's part of your
That's kind of
strategy.
like, everybody's gotta do that.
And another simple question, based on your research,
Yeah.
what role does actually creating the card, the study card, play in its effectiveness? In other words, I always had the perception that by creating the card, it actually helped you be better at learning the cards.
It does, yes.
And if you have
Absolutely.
a deck that someone else created, is it as effective?
Okay, very good question. It's effective for students using for the same class. So for example, my cards that I created are very effective for the classes that I took. So anybody those 45 users are all signed up for the same class.
So
that I
the
was
act
signed
of
up
creating
for.
the card isn't that big of an issue?
No, it was really
in
painful.
learning it?
In learning, no, it is. It helped me a lot.
Yeah.
But other students, once they, saw the cards, because there's a lot of effort in creating those cards,
Yeah.
and since the content was so specific to the class and
Yeah.
exactly what the instructor was teaching,
Okay.
he was, it was useful to them.
Thanks.
And I actually did ask students that, would you use cards, like anatomy cards from another school, and they're like, no, I wouldn't do that. Have to be for the same class.
Just one last comment. I mean, I'm familiar with several homebrew kind of applications that were created both by medical schools and law schools.
Yeah.
So consider that as a potential channel
Yep.
for them to partner with the school to offer that.
Thank you.